And now it's going to be a sack. Chris Jones smokes Phillip Rivers right back at the 40.
He's not banking on the skill that he's been blessed with.
Into Kelce, great catch, touchdown, Kansas City. He's around Standard, look at him go, impossible, touchdown, Kansas City. Carr's in trouble, he is going to be pulled down and sacked, Justin Houston.
Well, here we go, little swag gear here, a tip of the cap to the AFC West champions and the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs, the Kansas City Chiefs, 35-3 win here over the Oakland Raiders. Lots to talk about, but I want to start with the defense and the crowd. This defense had by far their best game of the year.
Yeah, first time in 44 games the Chiefs defense did not allow an opposing team to find the end zone. Mitch, we talked about it during the week. You got to get a game-changing play from the defense, and it seemed like we got 4 pretty early. 4 takeaways on 4 of the first drives for the Raiders. That was huge for the Chiefs defense. It set the tone for the entire game, but I think you're exactly right in that you've got to give credit to the crowd, because you look at the end of the first quarter, Chiefs leading 14-0, Raiders driving. They had a delay of game and a false start penalty, which you can both put on the crowd noise at Arrowhead Stadium. It stalled the drive a little bit, allowed Justin Houston on a 2nd and 10 to get the strip sack fumble. Huge play, and that is exactly what we need moving forward, knowing that the road to the Super Bowl now runs through Arrowhead Stadium.
But this looked like October Chiefs and the fact that they got an explosive play defensively. I mentioned that throughout the week. Sorensen, a great candidate to get an explosive play. The pick 6, all of a sudden now Oakland's going, well, their offense is so good, now their defense scores. It almost just kind of takes the sass right out of the opponent.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Raiders didn't want, is for the Chiefs to get out to a fast start and for this crowd to get into it. And not only that, the way that play went down, Jared Cook must have thought there was a screen going on the backside or something, because gave up on the play, but kudos to Daniel Sorensen to be heads up when the guy he's guarding is doing what he did. But for Sorensen to make that play, for D Ford to make the plays, for Justin Houston, like I said, to get that strip sack, and then for the other interception, it was just an overall dominant performance by the Chiefs, who went out there and proved that they are not only one of the best teams in the NFL, they are the #1 seed, the best team in the AFC. This was a huge win.
We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes later in the show. Let's start there. 50 touchdowns, 5,000 passing yards. Only one human in the history of civilization has done it in the NFL, and that was Peyton Manning in 2013. His 2 deep throws were Mahomes-like.
I think it's impressive. You talk about those records. Peyton Manning did that at 37 years old. Patrick Mahomes has done that with 17 career starts under his belt. If this is a sign of things to come, we're going to see a level of play in the NFL that we've never seen before, and that is exciting as a Chiefs fan to know he's here. He's our own homegrown guy, first-round pick, all the things that we've talked about all year. Now that the regular season is done, knowing that he had 2 receivers, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, both set franchise records. Travis Kelce set an NFL record for receiving yards, but both Hill and Kelce are in the top 4 in receiving yards for a season in franchise history. And to do that with a 23-year-old quarterback who hasn't started, it's amazing.
I'm proud of our guys for coming out with the emotion they did. Our defense just playing their hearts out, and the 3 turnovers, bang, 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 and it just set the whole tempo for everything.
Yeah, the game kind of started off. It looked like he might go 3 and out, and then Mahomes does what he seemed to do all season long. He turns a 3rd down conversion by throwing a ball to the sausage. The sausage runs for the 1st down. You got off to another fast start.
Yeah, we did. We were lucky to get off to a fast start, but they blitzed on that play, and the sausage is he's a check down on it. So, and then he put it down, and he's done that for us. He played a little tight end for us also today, so he's a good player for us.
You mentioned how the defense played today, obviously holding the Raiders to 3. Very physical. I thought it kind of, Daniel Sorensen set the tone for this. Derek Carr not throwing an INT in 10 weeks. Sorensen picks him for 6 and 54-something yards.
Yeah, he did a nice job on that, because they botched something there. Something happened, and Dan was right there playing, and so my hat goes off to him. And did a great job, and I thought Bob Sutton had a phenomenal game plan. Our guys brought the wood. They had an idea exactly what they were going to do. They didn't give up the big play. They stayed right there and made plays, and it was awesome. It was really a great job by him getting his guys ready. We had some new bodies and faces in there, and those guys stepped up.
I mentioned the history making. It looked like Tyreek Hill's kind of back to himself. Had a great day, sets a record. Travis Kelce, I mean, this franchise has such a history of good tight ends, Travis Kelce does something no other Chiefs tight end has done today.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, especially when one's going in the Hall of Fame, right? So, yeah, it's a pretty amazing thing. He's so talented, and he loves playing. I mean, that's the fun part of, you know how he is. I mean, he's fun to be around, but he loves playing the game. I've had both brothers, and somewhere in the water, there's a special blend that family has. So, but I'm proud of him for growing up the way he has, and then taking a leadership role, and then playing the way he is.
So Andy Reid mentions the game plan drawn up by defensive coordinator Bob Sutton, and obviously good results there, especially without Eric Berry, with Charvarius Ward making his second start at corner. A lot had to change from the past couple weeks. What changed in your mind?
I thought the technique was outstanding. It's a conscious effort to make sure that you are technique sound as far as defense. The fact that they only had 4 penalties on the game. 3 of those were in the first half. They had 4 in the total game. None were pass interference or defensive holding down the field. Makes me understand that Bob Sutton had a conscious effort that these defensive backs were able to assert themselves on the field and be conscious about their technique, and that's what they did. They were able to execute in perfect fashion today. Really did a nice job coverage downfield.
Now, I know B.J. Kissel teased this on Twitter, saying you don't want to miss the Patrick Mahomes one-on-one. Let me echo him. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up next here on Chiefs Rewind.
Third and 5, Chiefs from their own 33, first drive of the game. Mahomes, clean pocket, throwing long. He wants Tyreek Hill, makes a catch, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Kansas City, a 67-yard bomb! And Tyreek Hill becomes the all-time leading receiver in single season in Chiefs history.
Hey, I might break into MVP. Patrick Mahomes with us. First of all, just to get this done, to win a division, get a 1 seed for the playoffs. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's all the hard work we put in this whole offseason and this season. And, it's all coming together. And it came together at the right time, got the big win, and now we're excited for the playoffs coming ahead.
The excitement we're seeing in the locker room right now, the locker room club right now, it seems like a microcosm of what we saw in the stadium today. You just speak a little bit to the energy that you felt from the fans today at Arrowhead?
I mean, you could feel it from the pregame warmups. I mean, it's special, and I say it every single time, but it is. It's truly special to be on that field and feel that energy, and I'm glad we get to go into the playoffs with those next home games.
I'm going to start with a small play that lit the fuse for the bigger plays, and that was you were 3rd and 10, opening drive. They sell a sellout blitz, and you find the sausage on a hot read.
Yeah, I mean, he says he's always open, and he always is. And so he did his chip block and got out, and I just dropped it off to him, and he made a guy miss, and it was a big play that got the thing rolling at the beginning of the game.
We've been around each other long enough. I know I'm going to ask this question. I think I know what the answer is going to be. Talking about individual records, performances, milestones, 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Only Peyton Manning's the only other quarterback to ever do that. When you hear those numbers, just what does it mean to you?
I mean, it's special. It really is special, but it's a credit to my teammates, and I truly believe that. I mean, they make a lot of those touchdowns off of really short passes that I just kind of put in their hands, and it helps that I have those guys around me. I have Coach Reid coaching me, and I'm excited now that we can carry that momentum into the playoffs.
And the 2 giant plays, I want to ask you the big one. First one, the 67-yarder to Tyreek. Anything special on that play? And then what about the big one to D-Rob?
Yeah, the first one, I mean, they kind of doubled Kels with the safety up top, and anytime you have Tyreek with a press man situation, you put it out there for him to go get it, and he did, and made a great play on the ball and scored. And then the one to D-Rob, he wasn't really supposed to do that, but you know how D-Rob is sometimes. He's open, he throws that hand up, I put it out there for him.
We know how big this win was, when you get the 1 seed, staying at home and all that, but just the way in which you guys won, what kind of messages does that send to everybody else? The defense comes out and plays the way they did. Offense, you guys put up points again.
Yeah, I mean, we woke up. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We coming off the 2 losses, we've woken up. We know what every game means, what every play means, and we're going to have energy like that all the way through the playoffs and hopefully to the Super Bowl.
We woke up. I think that's a telling comment. What do you take from that?
Oh, I like it. I like the attitude. I like that he's recognizing that.
Right.
That they were a little bit sleepwalking over the past few weeks, and now they've woken up at the proper time.
Well, let's talk about being in the right place at the right time. Pivotal moment with Daniel Sorensen. Let's talk about this interesting play from the Raiders, but a good play by Dan.
Well, this is the Raiders being the Raiders. When you go back to my years in the 90s, we always said the Raiders are going to give you an opportunity to take the ball away. You just have to be ready for it. Daniel Sorensen was ready, aware, recognized what was happening, a miscommunication, whether he thought it was a timeout or a run play. Jared Cook, who torched us in Oakland earlier this season, Sorensen got the best of him with the 54-yard interception return for a touchdown. To me, that was the pivotal play of the game.
I know you saw or talked about how technique looked real good in that secondary, but without Eric Berry back there and with some of the young guys, Jordan Lucas comes in as well and starts. How did they look overall to you as far as how they covered and what they took care of?
You know what's the fun thing about having young guys in the back end? They don't know what they don't know yet. All they know is how to go out and play. And if you tell them, hey, get your hands on the receiver and make sure you get your head turned around towards the ball at some point, that's when you make a play. And to me, I saw Ward down the right sideline, turn his head early in the game, deflect the pass. Great coverage, and again, no flag. The flag has been the nemesis for this defense all season long, and the fact that we're seeing guys tighten up, Sorensen turns his head to the quarterback, guess what? A pick six for 54 yards. So I think the attention to detail and getting back to the fundamentals was key for this defense.
And nice to see Ward get rewarded, no pun intended there, but he had some good coverage in the Seattle game, and they were just perfect throws. A couple more deflections in this one. He's coming along as he gets going here late in the season. We go inside the locker room with the Chiefs next here on Chiefs Rewind.
Up on the video boards here at Arrowhead Stadium, it says back-to-back AFC West champions. The Chiefs solidified the division title for the third straight season, which has never happened before in franchise history. It's also the first time that the Chiefs are the #1 seed in the AFC since the current playoff format was implemented back in 2002. And you can bet all the guys in the locker room right now know that this is a historic evening, and they are celebrating. This game does not turn out the way it does without that catch from you on third down. Take us through that.
It was one of those things where I wasn't the primary, but, I chipped my guy and got out and knew that they brought pressure off my edge that might be open, and I needed to get 10 yards. So I got to the line and got the first down for us. But, I think it's just the way this team works. Is everyone knows that they could be open and he's going to find them. So just keep working and get what we need and get it done.
Nice to see a dominant performance from the offense and from the defense in this game. How good is it to get a win? It felt like you guys really needed a win like this.
Yeah, we needed a win. We knew we need to control our own destiny with that win. So we had a purpose, and it was like a playoff game. When you can play in front of this crowd for foreseeable future with the playoffs, it's an advantage. So we definitely wanted that, and we needed it.
It's more so important to get the home field advantage to make sure we host the playoff throughout. Those are main focus. Instead of getting the bye week, it was the main focus. Make sure we stay at Arrowhead.
Chris, I guess you've gone into a playoff run before. What's the feeling like? What's the sense that you get that this team's ready for what's going to happen?
Preparation. Everybody's still zoned in, still locked in. We know what's ahead of us, so preparation is the key.
Does this feel different than years past?
We're trying to make it different than years past. We want to go past the first game. A couple years back, we was kind of in the same position, and we ended up falling down to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this time we're trying to make a change.
We're not done. Everyone's happy for each other. We knocked another goal off the list. We checked it off, but at the same time, we got our eyes set on something way bigger than this.
Okay, they talk about the home field advantage. That's big, but how big's the bye? How big is that extra week of rest considering what some of the injured guys on this team are going through right now?
Well, I think it's huge. And you go back a couple of weeks, and in that Seattle game, people were talking about the importance of winning that game. I was a little concerned. I want them to win every game, but I was concerned because if they won that Seattle game, they, in essence, have 2 weeks off, which I think is too much going into the playoffs in this situation. This was a perfect storm for the Chiefs to be able to win this game at home, secure home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and be able to have some momentum, especially positive positively for the offense and defense side of the ball. So to me, this was a special opportunity they took full advantage of. We knew 4 weeks ago that it was all in their hands and they were able to capitalize on it.
Let's take a look at our social spotlight. Our reactions to this game, there were lots of them. I promise I did not put my name in the hat here. I would never campaign for myself. And yes, it's low-hanging fruit to say that he shouldn't have gone to Jared. Jared Cook, again, just kind of baffling, honestly, for a guy who's a veteran, had some success in this league. Dan Sorensen takes advantage. BJ Kissel, after this play, Arrowhead chanting MVP. He is by a landslide, right?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? It's special. I've been around for a long time. A couple of years ago, hearing them chant against these same Raiders, Tyreek, and now against the Raiders at the end of the season, the MVP, fittingly so.
Okay, Roger Sherman from The Ringer. This looks like the most doomed punt return ever, but it's actually a guy scoring a touchdown. I wonder if you can see the angle here, if we have it, of Demarcus Robinson. So basically, I will reenact. He has his arms up in the air, right, with the football, backpedaling in, and the angle looks like some dude's about to tackle him as if he's trying to go that way. So there's the joke for you. Yes, sometimes it helps to have video. I'm gonna get myself taken care of here. Clark Hunt is coming up next. Chiefs chairman and CEO, his thoughts on a third straight AFC West championship. That's next on Chiefs Rewind.
14-0 Chiefs, 9:40 left in the first half. Damian Williams at running back, goes up the middle inside the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, powers into the end zone, touchdown, Kansas City. Terrific blocking up front as Damian Williams spikes the ball in the end zone.
What better way to celebrate a back-to-back-to-back division title and a 1 seed in the playoffs? Bring in the chairman and the CEO of the Chiefs, Clark Hunt. What this game meant, what this day meant, and the performance by this Chiefs team.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Coach Reed and the team on the division championship. As you mentioned, the third time in a row, that's very difficult to do. In fact, we'd never won 2 in a row till last year. Now to do a third year is very special. I thought the team's performance today was a great way to lead into the playoffs. We built some momentum, not only got the division title, but got home seed throughout the playoffs, which is big. Great being able to play in front of our fans. Our fans were fantastic today, and I know they will be once we get into the playoffs.
The fact that they got the 1 seed in the division title, like you mentioned, is one thing, but how special is it they did it against the Oakland Raiders here at Arrowhead Stadium?
Yeah, well, I know my mother's very excited about it. She's been watching the Chiefs play the Raiders for 50-plus years, and great to be able to beat a division opponent. And the Raiders were playing well. I think that was another part of the equation. They showed that against Denver earlier this week, and to be able to beat them like we did today, I think really gives the team a lot of confidence.
A lot of offensive accolades, but how encouraged were you by this defense today and what they did against the Raiders?
Yeah, well, Andy and I were talking about it after the game. You know, you certainly would not have scripted the game the way it played out. I mean, our defense really stepped up, made a bunch of big plays. The 4 turnovers in the first half really changed the momentum of the game. Great to see Daniel Sorensen with the pick 6. Reggie Ragland with an almost pick 6. Great plays. D Ford, Justin Houston, they were all over the quarterback. So a great way, again, not only for the entire team, but specifically for the defense to prepare for the playoffs.
Patrick Mahomes talked about it. The guys in the locker room were talking about it, but the energy that the crowd brought today, and we talk about home field advantage, we talk about Arrowhead all the time, but from your vantage point, just how special was the atmosphere and what Chiefs Kingdom was able to do here in a big situation?
Yeah, well, I can't remember the last time in late December where we were standing room only. But we were today, which just shows you how passionate our fans were. There were almost no tickets on the secondary market. Everybody who had a ticket wanted to be here because they knew how important the game was. Not only in winning the division, not only beating the Raiders, but getting that home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So great to be at Arrowhead, and it's going to be great to be at Arrowhead throughout the playoffs.
And final question deals with a quarterback who's 23 years old with 50 touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards, and a tight end who set an all-time NFL record today. This just feels like the start of something.
Yeah, it really does. We've got so many young, skilled players, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And it was so exciting to see Patrick get the 50 TDs, get the 5,000 yards on the season. Travis to break not one but two records held by Tony Gonzalez for most catches and most receiving yards in the season. And you didn't mention Tyreek Hill, who broke the franchise record for the most yards by a receiver in franchise history. I mean, it's sort of been like that throughout the season where there have been records that have been broken every week, but those are all really big records, very special, and just, I think, a compliment to those guys and how hard they've worked, and to Coach Reed and the system he has them playing in.
Yeah, things are looking up, I would say. That puts it lightly. Let's talk about some Chief observations from Danon over here, and it starts with the fans in the seats. What do you think about the 12th man?
Well, the 12th man was real today, and you go back to the 90s, before all the renovations to Arrowhead, when you had the indoor and outdoor, the stands were rocking, the fans were crazy. I saw that today. It seems like the Raiders bring that out of the Chiefs fans. They were an integral factor in this game, especially the early turnovers, kept them going. Justin Houston obviously had an outstanding day today with 1.5 sacks. But more importantly, when it was needed, when the Chiefs needed to secure their home field advantage throughout the playoffs, the 12th man was huge. The defense took it personal today. 2 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, the 2 fumble recoveries, and obviously the pick 6 by Sorensen was huge. The fact that we're able in this juncture in January or December to see the defense step up when they've had that question mark over their head for most of this season was huge.
And your last one, dominance in the division. I think everybody knows how successful the Chiefs have been against the AFC West. Why does it matter?
Well, Andy Reid is so special. The fact that he's got these guys and his whole staff conscious about dominating their division. And I go back again to Marty Schottenheimer used to say, the recipe for success in getting into the playoffs, win at home and win in your division. Those are still remain to be true, and Andy Reid has been as dominant as I've seen anyone in many years.
On that note, we see Andy Reid pass Marty Schottenheimer for most wins in this game, and when you look at Coach Reid, what sense do you get? I mean, this is a unique situation for him with Patrick Mahomes, with a team like this one. What sense do you get that this has him kind of fired up this year?
Oh, this is extra. I mean, obviously, the words earlier in this week, John Gruden talking about the hated Chiefs and wanting to go and be the spoiler, and I think that stirred up Andy Reid. Andy's kind of even-keeled. He's kind of been that guy. No game is more important than any other game, but I think that stoked the fire a little bit, and I think the players responded to that. That tells you the impact that Andy Reid has on his players. We always talk about it. You've heard me say it many times. The best coaches are brainwashers. They're able to brainwash you into believing something that maybe you're questionable about. Right now, these players are not questionable about anything.
Well, a couple of Andy Reid's best players, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Houston, and the coach himself from the podium. That's coming up next on Chiefs Rewind.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you we didn't want to play here. That's a good thing. But on the other hand, I would say just getting back, playing good football. We just felt like we had kind of let off the accelerator a little bit there. And didn't take care of opportunities that we had. And I think the guys just they bared down on it. It wasn't going to happen again in their mind. It was fun to be around that part of it and feel that energy. And so that's how they came out and played, just the way they practiced all week with that same intensity that I felt before the game and during the week during practice. Yeah, he's been the MVP. He's done good. He's a heck of a player. I was fortunate enough to be around a 3-time MVP and a couple guys who were right on the edge of being the MVP. And this guy's in that right in that category, man. I mean, he's so deserving. In a world here of great players, for him to do the things he's done is phenomenal, and he'll continue to do that. He's still got room to grow. So that's the exciting part. Something for Kansas City to be very excited about.
His numbers spoke for itself, so he made history today. Any quarterback can come in the game and put up many touchdowns. I give the defense some breathing room, and it put us in a position to do what we like to do as a D lineman, as an outside backer. We like to rush the passer. So anytime you ahead and coming in the fourth quarter, you can pin your ears back and go.
Getting the chains moving early, being able to score on that first drive, it gets that momentum in our favor. And the defense, all night long was getting stop after stop, turnover after turnover. And that's championship football. And so we're excited that they played that way and the offense stepped up when we needed to, and we're going to carry that momentum into the playoffs.
A festive move here in the locker room club at Arrowhead, and why not? The Chiefs win at 35-3, division champions back-to-back-to-back, and the 1 seed in the playoffs. Let's talk about Charvarius Ward in this game and the improvement he made from last week's game. He had some tough assignments. He and Kendall Fuller being back on the field, how big was that?
It was huge. It was a great sign. And if you heard Al Harris talk earlier this week, one of the things that he said he loved about Charvarius Ward and all the defensive backs in that room is that these guys may get beat on a play, but they're going to come back at you. They're not going to give in. They're not going to get in their own head. They're going to step up and keep coming back at you. And it was going to be interesting to see how Ward responded after a tough game against Seattle, where he made some plays but made some mistakes, for him to come back, get another opportunity for Bob Sutton and those guys to put him back out there, give him another chance to see how he would respond. And we saw today what Brett Veach and this personnel staff saw in him to make that trade late in the preseason.
All right, the other big thing here is the Chiefs get 2 weeks to get ready for the playoffs. I think it's a blessing in disguise they didn't wrap it up 3 weeks to go. I think now they're going with a sharpened sword. Doesn't look like there's any more serious injuries. What about the ability to go into the playoffs maybe completely healthy, including Laurent Duvernay-Tardif?
Yeah, between Tardif, Sammy Watkins, Kendall Fuller, Eric Berry, Spencer Ware, who didn't go today. If you can get all those guys back, giving them an extra week's worth of rest, that's going to be huge. And the obvious is that those games are going to be at Arrowhead Stadium. But to give those guys some extra week and to be fully healthy going in the way the defense played today, the way the offense is playing all year, 26 points, at least 26 points in every game this season, NFL record, never happened in NFL history.
Enjoy this. Enjoy this moment. Then after your New Year's Eve party, it's time to get ready for the playoffs. He's B.J. Kissel. I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. Celebrate Chiefs Kingdom. You deserve it.
All right, some time to relax. A little R&R, getting ready for the first playoff game at Arrowhead Stadium, divisional round. You have 3 options as it stands right now as of this taping. You have the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Colts, or the Titans. Pick one. What do you think is the most advantageous matchup of these?
I'd say the Chargers. Obviously, they're a very strong team, the second best record in the AFC. But I think a third time, especially on this turf, and the fact that they were just able to squeak by with the win here, I'd like our Chiefs' chances.
Who scares you among those? Baltimore was so close.
Yeah. I'd say Baltimore. Their defense scares me. Anytime you have a solid defense like the Ravens do in December and January, it could make it very, very tough, especially against a team that's so heavy offense like the Chiefs.
Let's bring the focus inward on the Chiefs. When you look at where they came from the last couple losses to this game, and you think back to maybe, as Mitch said, in October, when they almost looked unbeatable, are they back to that yet? Can they get back to that with some guys coming back from injury? How do you see them compared to what their potential is?
I think their potential is high. The ceiling obviously is high to me. And part of the reason I say that, Tom, is because the defense is playing better. Early in the season in October, the defense was porous. If it wasn't very good, the offense was carrying the load, and we still thought they were unbeatable. Now you have a defense that's getting better. And let's face it, when you go into the playoffs, it's not about being the hottest team going into the playoffs. It's about being hot at that time. And right now, a lot of confidence has been garnered by this Chiefs team, offense, defense, special teams, all 3 units. I'd say 4 weeks ago, we thought the Los Angeles Chargers were probably the best overall team, all-around team in all 3 phases. Right now, I'd give that hand to the Chiefs.
Things can change quickly. We'll see if they change at all, depending on the opponent heading into the next 2 weeks. We'll see you then. Tom Martin, Dayton Hughes, for everybody at our 65 Toss Power Trap Studios. This is Chiefs Rewind. We will see you in the postseason.
Chiefs Rewind is brought to you by Ford, the official car and truck of the Kansas City Chiefs, and by Community America Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Kansas City Chiefs.